paper. Okay. Okay. So before we begin, I'd like to ask for your consent regarding the interview recording. This interview will be audio and video recorded so I can accurately capture your response. The recording will be used for research purposes only and will be kept confidential and will be only accessed by a research group and our course professor. So your name and any identifying details will not appear in the final paper. So participation is completely voluntary and you may choose to stop the interview or withdraw your consent at any time and without any consequences. With that, may I ask, do you consent to this interview being recorded?
Yes, I do consent.
Okay. Okay. So first to begin, may I get your name, school year, and your sport?
So I'm Michael Leda. I'm a fourth year. My nickname is Mick, and my sport is football or futsal.
Okay. So, as an Ateneo athlete, how would you describe your relationship with your team or sports community? This can be your teammates, your coaches, or even just supporters.
So I would describe my team as very solid in solidarity. We're very close, both off the court and on the court. So we have lots of chemistry when it comes to making friendships within the team and as well as making plays within the team itself. So we're always supporting each other and we're always trying to uplift each other and find grow together.
Okay, that's great. So, alternatively, also as an Atenean athlete, how would you describe your relationship with Filipino sports players outside of Ateneo?
I would say generally where I play outside of Ateneo is in open place in football. So that includes places like Southridge Turf or at Bridgetown or BGC Turf. Generally, in among other Filipino athletes, there's a mutual respect. So we have same respect for each other, and uh, we still respect each other's boundaries, and be sportsmanlike altogether. But when it comes to non-Filipinos, like that's a different story.
Would you want to expound on that a little?
There could be me personally. I have no tension with foreigners or exchange students or anyone that's not Filipino. But then I do notice that there's some tension or some like physicality between Filipinos and non-Filipinos. So it might affect the pitch. So maybe foreigners think we're not being as good as them, or maybe they think we're being racist towards them or insulting them behind their backs. So there could be lots of physical tension as well, like pushing around.
Oh, and this isn't necessarily the case with other Filipino players that you meet or
No, with other
encounter.
Filipino players, it's for well, in my personal experience, there's never no any no unsportsmanlike behavior between me and other players, no matter their nationality.
All right. Okay. So now moving on to the next part of our interview. So when you think of kalayaan in relation with Filipino sports players outside of Ateneo, what does this mean to you?
So when I think of kalayaan, I think of freedom, and more specifically, freedom to be yourself. So I think that means to be in total confidence with your skills, to be in total confidence in your playing ability, and in your decision to make some plays and to be confident, basically. So when I think of it in terms of football, I think that if I have lots of freedom or kalayaan, then I'm able to make plays and express myself in the ways that I can while playing football. So if I want to like make a really risky pass, or if I want to make some kind of crazy play with another player, then if I feel that I can do that with other people, especially non-Ateneans, then that's when I can feel there is kalayaan.
Okay, lovely. So, can you share a specific experience in relation with Filipino sports players outside of Ateneo where you felt like your sense of kalayaan was supported or you were able to express it?
So for me, it's in terms of basic small things when it comes to like making small calls. So so in football, there's a lot of like raising your hand to call out the ball, to call out the pass. So when they notice me calling a pass and when they actually go through with that pass and it does hit me, and there's a reward for that, like maybe converts into a goal or it converts into an assist, then that's when I feel seen. That's when I feel heard. That's when I feel the freedom in being able to express myself. I feel successful not only with winning but or scoring, but with communicating and being able to interlink with other players in mind and in sport.
Okay, lovely. So, alternatively, with this experience, did your sense of kalayaan also feel limited, whether it was in expressing your opinions, making choices, or navigating the sport in relation with Filipino sports players outside of Ateneo?
So this specific moment had no restriction or no limitation on my kalayaan. But I do recall moments where I feel more limited, specifically in harder open plays when it's more competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, the Southridge Open Play is pretty competitive, and there's lots of like former UAP or former pro players, or like really young players that are really fit. So it feels like I'm not able to do my best, and that affects my performance as well, my mental. So it makes me think that like, oh, uh, they're not passing to me because I'm not good enough. So they're gonna keep not passing to me, so I don't get the ball. So it feels like I'm not able to do my best or feel
Mm-hmm.
free.
Okay. Now, moving on to the next part of our interview. So, in your own words, what does katarungan mean within your sport in the Philippine context? So, this would be justice.
So justice or katarungan for me would be uh, promoting fairness and equality or equal opportunity for everyone as much as possible. So in the context of Philippine football or football in my sport, that would mean everyone would have the same opportunities to get the ball, to make plays, to so that means specifically like there shouldn't be any like ball hogs or people like who only pass to their friends or only pass to like men or some or only women or things like that.
Mhm.
So katarungan would mean fair opportunity for all.
Okay. So, with this, can you share a specific experience in relation with Filipinos players outside of Ateneo where you felt like your sense of katarungan was supported or expressed?
So this is outside of Ateneo.
Yes, outside of Ateneo.
Okay, so outside of Ateneo, I do notice that there are lots of players who don't like to pass to weaker players or maybe even women, even regardless of skill level. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe it comes from their perception that they won't do their best, so and they want to win, so they want to as much as possible win and keep the ball to themselves because they think they're better. So, but to me, this feels like against Katarungan, the principle that everyone should have equal opportunities.
Okay, so with this, did you feel like your sense of katarungan felt limited? Whether again in expressing your opinions, making choices, or navigating the sport in relation to Filipino players outside of Ateneo?
For my own personal sense of Katarungan, it felt like I was limited because it felt like personally, individually, I can't do much as a player, as an individual player in stopping this, if we can call it systematic forms
Mm-hmm.
of behavior or microaggressions.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like I was kind of helpless, or even if it's like a small minor thing, it felt like I can't really do much to change anything.
Okay. So we're down to our last section. So, based on the specific experiences that you've shared about Kalayaan and Katarungan among Filipino athletes outside of Ateneo, is there anything else that you feel is important to discuss about how Kalayaan and Katarungan can be supported with Filipino players outside of Ateneo?
I think the key thing, key takeaway that I would like to say is that I do notice that sports in general is a great learning ground. It's a great avenue for freedom and justice. It's a great way to express yourself. It's a great way to move and be physical and to aim and work together as a team. So, but then when you have things like bad apples who ruin things for others or make it harder for other players to feel justice or feel freedom, then that can be very limiting into the opportunities that sports potential can give. Shit, did I disconnect?
Hello. Yep,
Hello?
no, I can hear you. I can hear you. It can
Okay.
feel, yeah, from it can feel discouraging, I think.
It can feel discouraging for other players, especially when the sports and football specifically can give so much freedom and so much potential for others to have that sense of expression.
Okay. So, how do the values of Kalayaan and Katarungan influence the way athletes interact with one another during training, games, or team activities? For you.
For me, I believe that everyone has their own personal sense of katarungan and kalayaan. So, and that affects the way they play themselves and how they uphold their own freedom or uphold their own justice. So, and it also affects how they affect others. So there are players who are very selfish, very self-centered, who hog the ball, and there are other players who want to give opportunities for everyone, who want equality as much as possible. So when you have this mix of players, then you create this atmosphere where it really depends on the culture there or the types of players that
Mhm.
affects this game.
Okay, lovely. So, how do these values help you personally navigate conflict, decision making, or teamwork within the sports setting that you're in?
So personally, uh, it helps me from my learned experiences. I'm able to learn the pitfalls that specific types of players or where sports can fail or where moments where down. So it can help me build a sense of uh, principles, build a sense of morality when it comes to treating others, both inside the sport and in the court, in the field, and off the field. So, for a specific example, like learning that it feels bad to not get the ball because people think you're bad makes me think and empathize with other weaker players and think that, hey, these players might feel bad also, so let me pass to them as well.
Okay. Okay, so our second to last question. So, looking at your experiences, how have Kalayaan and Katarungan shaped your growth, not just as an athlete, but also as a member of the larger Ateneo community?
As a member of the larger Ateneo community, I've really grown to learn about how Ateneo is really goes beyond, really goes up and beyond what is necessary in order to really go the distance, I guess, and prove the values that we hold is something that's worth keeping in mind. Like basically, we just go beyond what's needed, go not necessarily what's necessary, but we do our very best no matter what. So when I think in terms of kalayaan and katarungan, then I think in terms of I want to uphold and do my best, very best, in upholding these values, both in the sport and out of the sport. So when it comes to my academics, uh, personally, individually, I don't really care too much about my grades, but then I do know that some my group mates or other my course mates might care about their grades as well. So when it comes to group works, I always try my best to make the workload easier for others.
Okay, so lastly, is there anything about freedom, justice, or the Ateneo sports culture as a whole that you feel is important to share?
Uh, I think the a good value that not necessarily related to kalayaan and to freedom and justice is loyalty. And something that Ateneo teaches us is that it's the school we choose no matter what. And that if you want to be loyal, you have to be loyal not only to the people you like, but to the people you around you, who surround you. You have to respect them, everyone, basically.
Okay, that is all. Let me end. Thank you so much for the interview. Let me end the recording.